USC tuition increase has some students frustrated. Find out what they're doing about it.
Dozens of homeless advocates clash with LA officials over the possible shutdown of Echo Park Lake.
A new Demi Lovato documentary highlights the importance of being open about mental health and substance abuse issues. Annenberg TV News begins now.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
It probably wasn't the news you wanted to hear on your wellness day. USC is increasing tuition. Good evening, I'm Savannah Welch reporting from USC's campus.
And I'm Annalise Tuskin. We are just outside of Wallace Annenberg Hall. USC has announced that tuition will be just past $60,000. Annenberg Media's Gabby Sorrentino has student reactions.
Students like David Angel at the Sol Price School of Public Policy are frustrated by the hike in tuition.
It's kind of crazy that they're still, increasing tuition after everything that's been going on. And, I understand costs increase, whatever the case is, but we can't keep doing this to first generation low income students.
David is the Director of External Affairs for the Graduate Student Government. Last year, when USC increased tuition by 3.5%, David and his peers wrote a letter to President Folt. This year, he plans to do the same.
I'm just as angry, if not even more angry, at the fact that they not only decided that they're going to do this, but that they, put it in a very long email towards the end and only gave it such a small paragraph.
For the 2021-2022 school year, tuition will be increased by 2%, making it $60,445 a year. The increase is the lowest year-over-year increase since 1967. Nicola Higgins is a high school senior in Baltimore, Maryland, who applied to USC for next fall.
Really surprised, especially, amidst the pandemic. It seems like that would be kind of one of the last things that I would expect to happen. It's definitely something that I'll have to think about and definitely have a conversation with my parents.
A first-year graduate and co-founder of Mutual Aid USC was personally affected by the announcement.
Schooling is my number one priority at the moment, but I will most likely have to increase my hours of work in order to sustain being able to go to school and also afford living near campus. It's just unfortunate that I'll have to focus more on finances and uncertainty on top of my school and education.
USC will commit over $400 million of its own funding to student financial aid next year. But for many students, the cost of USC may still be too much to afford. For Annenberg Media, this is Gabby Sorrentino.
LA County has now officially entered the red tier of California's reopening framework, and that means plans for in-person activities are officially moving forward. Libraries and museums will be opening for limited capacity study sessions and visits. Outdoor sports activities will resume for students, and study canopies are now available to reserve. But spring classes will stay online through the end of the semester. The number of students participating in on-campus activities, such as library study sessions and study canopies, will increase this semester if LA County moves to less restrictive tiers.
Activists are fighting to keep Echo Park Lake opened. LA is closing the park for repairs, and that is going to displace hundreds of people living in homeless tents. Annenberg Media's Leanna Falk spoke with organizers of a rally there today.
This is what community looks like.
The battle for Echo Park continues between city officials and the unhoused.
This is what unity looks like. This is what power looks like. Y'all are toying with our lives.
Ayman Ahmed has lived in the park for a year. He says he's not going anywhere.
The only reason I'm still here is because we fought fights last year that made this the only safe spot to live outside. Anywhere else, I got to worry about the LAPD and city. We fought for the security and stability and safety we have here, and that's why I'm here.
Our rally this morning drew a crowd of more than 200 people. The goal? To protest a city council plan to shut down the park and clear the encampments. City Councilman Mitch O'Farrell confirmed the park will be temporarily closed to repair damage.
We need to make the environment safe to make those repairs. And when we reopen, the park will be a safe environment for all park visitors.
O'Farrell's office has been working to move people in the area into hotels. Housing activists say this isn't a solution.
Echo Park has been the most permanent sense of home that a lot of folks have experienced in a long time. By removing people from this space and putting them in temporary shelters, it is actively removing people from a sense of stability that they have created.
The group marched to O'Farrell's office on Sunset Boulevard, located just a block away from the park where David Bushlily has lived since last August. He says he's tired of the city sweeping its residents and its problems to the curb.
You don't do that. That's not public policy. That's political scheming, and it's going to cost lives. He's already costing lives, and we're doing something to try to stand up against him getting, or any politician in LA, getting away with this.
The LA Times reports the city plans to clear the encampment this Thursday, but no one in Councilmember O'Farrell's office responded to requests to confirm the exact date. In Los Angeles, for Annenberg Media, I'm Leanna Falk.
President Joe Biden is putting pressure for new gun control legislation after 2 mass shootings occurred in 1 week. Boulder is mourning the loss of 10 people killed in a mass shooting at a local supermarket. After the shooting in Colorado and another in Georgia last week, President Biden called for a ban on assault weapons and stricter background checks. As expected, Republican leaders were quick to criticize the president, arguing that gun control does not lessen crime, but makes it worse. But an opposing viewpoint from a USC student sheds light on the controversy.
I believe in the assault weapons ban. I believe in closing loopholes. I think those things should happen immediately. I think we have a good chance of getting them done.
A majority of senators saying that banning the weapon is not going to solve the problem. I own an AR-15. I own it responsibly. Senator Coons and I think Toomey have a bill that I could support.
The House has approved 2 bills to expand background checks, but any legislation faces long odds in the Senate, where parties are divided 50-50.
More and more students are receiving their second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. So what can you do when you're fully vaccinated? According to CDC guidelines, if you're fully vaccinated, you are able to be indoors with other vaccinated people without having to wear masks. You can also be inside with unvaccinated people from one household without masks. If you are exposed to COVID, there is no need to quarantine as long as you are asymptomatic. Some countries are now open to fully vaccinated tourists. Still, the CDC does not recommend any type of travel, domestic or international. And it's important to remember that, vaccinated or not, students should always wear a mask outside and maintain a 6-foot distance.
Access to COVID-19 vaccinations is increasing, but that doesn't mean every vaccine is automatically distributed. We spoke with one USC student who was vaccinated after being selected from a wait list.
I called like a ton of CVS's, probably like 20 or 30, which was a lot. And basically just said, hey, if you guys have any leftover vaccines and if I can get on a waiting list, that'd be great. And majority of them said, sorry, we don't do waiting list, or sorry, we don't have the vaccine at this location. But I got lucky with 2 of them. And I got a call at like 6:45, and it was 2 days after I'd called all of them. And the Irvine one said that they had 1 leftover vaccine, and they said, can you be here in 45 minutes, and we'll give it to you. So then I raced over there, and within 45 minutes, I got it. I told everyone I knew, because I'm like, this is a great way to get the vaccine, because you're not wasting a vaccine. So I definitely think that should be advertised more, because I think a lot more people could easily get vaccines that way.
When people miss their vaccine appointments at CVS, some pharmacies aren't letting those doses go to waste. For the pharmacies with a wait list at the end of the day, pharmacists say they will contact those people for the leftovers.
Demi Lovato's new documentary is sparking conversations about mental health. Annenberg Media's Sutton Riquez spoke with 2 mental health professionals about how celebrities can help those struggling with these issues.
Dancing with the Devil. That's what Demi Lovato's new documentary is called. Lovato opens up about her struggles with mental health and substance abuse.
Was hammered into her head. You have to be this icon. Mental health is something that we all need to talk about.
I don't even know why I'm sober anymore.
Experts believe Lovato's candor can help reduce the stigma of mental health.
I think in general, the more we talk openly about mental health and substance abuse, the more it becomes less of a taboo topic. And so it's more something that other people are going to feel comfortable bringing up.
Lovato has been open about her mental health issues on social media, but Bird adds that social media can be harmful.
Specifically in Instagram and Facebook was envy and jealousy. So when you see other people doing things that you're not able to do, the importance to me is being intentional in who you follow. So in curating your feed, that if you are seeing people that are making you not feel good about yourself, you're always welcome to not follow them.
For Lovato fans, seeing a celebrity speak out about her mental health struggles can help normalize seeking treatment.
I think that when people have a platform where they have followers, whether they're social media influencers or whether they're typical type of celebrities, I do think them sharing their experiences and their experiences, especially with overcoming or dealing with or managing mental health problems, I think that has the potential to give people hope.
And with more episodes coming in the next few weeks, Lovato plans to open up about recovery and her future. For Annenberg Media, I'm Sutton Riquez.
I'm Mimi Geller reporting from St. Paul, Minnesota. That may sound unbelievable, but an official study of millions of scenarios is being used as a roadmap to make this possible.
This plan is really going to incentivize a transition to electric cars and electric cars that are fueled with renewable energy sources, so carbon-free. The public health impacts are going to get much better because we're not going to have so much emissions around the city. What we're moving towards is a system in which we can't control those fuel sources as much. So we can't control when the wind shines or when the wind blows and the sun shines. And that brings some complicating factors in terms of how we manage those resources. So part of this NREL report and this LADWP report for the city was really to understand what are some of those technical challenges and what are some of the innovations that we need to get us to that next step. But it is very technically feasible for us to get to a system of 100% renewable. The question is how much does it cost? And, are we going to get the policy incentives that we need to go forward with that plan?
The price tag for the plan is $87 billion. That includes it converting home heating and appliances from gas to electric. Of LA's passenger vehicles, 80% will be electric. A massive amount of solar energy will be installed in homes and office buildings, and up to 87% of total energy will be powered by wind and solar energy.
USC athletes get all the attention. Reporter Tony Quach introduces us to the man who makes sure those athletes are ready for action.
Athletic trainers are certified and licensed healthcare professionals. They specialize in the management, prevention, and recovery of injured individuals. This month is National Athletic Training Month, and I spoke to a few athletic trainers on what this means to them.
These healthcare workers are the first responders when someone goes down with an injury. Russ Romano has been the head athletic trainer at USC since 1998. He's in charge of USC's entire athletic medicine program, supervising 16 staff members who provide services to over 600 student athletes.
I love being an athletic trainer because I get to help people. And there's nothing more powerful than to be able to provide medical care that will exceed that person during their lifetime. It's great to be able to do that, and it's great to be able to execute that on a daily basis and go home knowing that you did the best you could. You provided great care for that student athlete when they needed you the most.
The California Athletic Trainers Association is an organization with over 3,000 members. According to President Dr. Kai Kugler, these athletic trainers have their own March Madness to deal with.
I guarantee you that every athletic trainer that's still involved in March Madness is dealing with bumps and bruises and sprained ankles or strained hamstrings or whatever, low back spasms.
Sydney Tulai is a USC senior and former track athlete. She says the athletic trainers deserve more credit.
When it comes to travel prep, they have to think about, everyone's needs on that trip. They have to think of treatment times and scheduling. I mean, it's so much more in depth than, putting together an ice pack. I mean, just thank your athletic trainers. I think that's the main thing. I mean, you have some time, write a note. Any sort of acknowledgement is so important because they do so much behind the scenes and they deserve the biggest praise.
I think we have an incredibly important role because nothing's more important than your health. We do it to care for others.
As the head athletic trainer for more than 20 years, Russ Romano says there's nothing better than combining his love of medicine and sports. For Annenberg Media, I'm Tony Quach in Los Angeles.
Today, the path to the draft continued for 7 Trojans as USC hosted Pro Day for the first time in 2 years. I'm Sydney Rocket reporting from Studio T in Los Angeles. Offensive lineman Elijah Vera Tucker stood out among the pack with 36 bench presses. Vera Tucker is projected to be a first-round pick in this year's draft.
So just out here, working on O-line drills, the shuttles, 3-cone, just wanted to, showcase my athleticism.
Man, I felt like I showed a lot of competitiveness out here. I practiced all the drills except for the 3-cone drill. And I got out there and, I wasn't too sure if I was going to do it or not. And, one of the guy who was running it told me, just go out there and compete and do it. So went out there, did the 3-cone. They said I had one of the better times. So I'm excited for that.
Wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown said earlier this week he was aiming for a 4.4 range in the 40-yard dash, but came short and ran a 4.5. Wide receiver Tyler Vaughn showed off his hops with the 31.5 vertical jump. Vaughn's also ran a 4.6 in the 40-yard dash. My co-anchor Lachelle Smith has more on the defense.
Thanks, Sydney. Pro Day didn't stop at the offensive side of the ball today. Defensive tackle Marlon Tuipulotu started Pro Day at the bench press, tying his teammate Jay Tufele with 30 reps. The 6'2", 307-pound tackle didn't participate in the 40-yard dash, but ran a 4.69 in the shuttle drill, recorded a 30.5-inch vertical, and finished the 3-cone drill in 7.57 seconds. Defensive lineman Jay Tufele was the only Trojan to opt out of the 2020 season to prepare for the draft. The 6'3", 305-pound lineman ran a 4.97 in the 40-yard dash, marked a 30-inch vertical, and 4.83 shuttle drill. Tufele also participated in the broad jump, finishing at 8 feet 9 inches. Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year Talanoa Hufanga is among some of the top safeties in the draft. Standing at 6'1", 199 pounds, he ran a 4.61 40-yard dash, jumped a 35.5-inch vertical, and finished the 3-cone drill at 6.87 seconds.
For me, I'm excited to go throughout this process, whether I'm drafted or undrafted. All I ask is for one opportunity. Just to go showcase my talents and give me a chance just to show what I can do.
Comes back to who I am and what I represent and the type of player I am on the field. And being away from a year didn't really take away that. It just made me better.
Inside linebacker John Houston Jr. returned to campus to participate in Pro Day. Houston played his last game for the Trojans in 2019. In his career at SC, he recorded 167 tackles in 37 games. He wasn't drafted in 2020 and signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers before later being waived. And I'm joined back by Sydney Rocket. Football isn't the only thing that's going on. USC men's hoops is in the Sweet 16 facing off against Oregon. And Sydney, last week you said they weren't going to make the Sweet 16. Now they have. What do you have to say about it?
Yes, I'm glad the Trojans proved me wrong and are going to the Sweet 16. The Trojans also beat Oregon in their last matchup, and I do believe they can do it again.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great matchup against them. They face each other at least twice in the season. It's going to be interesting to see how they kind of game plan for this one.
Well, that's all for sports. Now let's send it back to news.
Some disappointing news for the tens of thousands planning to attend the nation's biggest event in the Black theater community. Devarick Turner reports from North Carolina about this summer festival and why it matters.
The National Black Theater Festival is one of the most important theater events in the country. More than 60,000 people come to Winston-Salem, North Carolina for this 6-day event. But organizers just postponed it until 2022.
Yes, it's disappointing, obviously. When you're planning for a big party, you expect to have a big party and you don't want to postpone it to another time. But it's what had to be done in this case.
And the event is truly a party. It's a sacred place for the Black theater community to connect, perform, and share stories.
And it's holy ground. Holy ground is something that is special. You hang out, you sit outside, you talk, you laugh, You go to sleep early in the morning, you wake up and you repeat the next day.
USC theater professor Anita DeShiel Sparks has attended the festival many times.
There's something majestic about the National Black Theater Festival. That's the word that comes to mind. There's nothing like the liveness of it, the human interaction and synergy and connectivity from being in and among and within a community, a part of a community of artists and Black artists.
The event was first held in 1989 to sustain Black theater and provide work for Black artists. Maya Angelou and Oprah attended the first festival, and the celebrities haven't stopped.
We've had James Earl Jones here, Denzel Washington here, Lou Gossett was here 2 years ago. This is the place that folk look to come to reunite, which is that reunion of spirit. And it's about who we are, about our culture.
You're exposed to so many different dynamics of storytelling, of culture, cultural customs, traditions, pride, heritage of not only, I would say, the African American experience, but of the African experience, of the diasporic experience, across its range of breadth and depth and complexities.
There isn't anything virtual planned for the National Black Theater Festival this year, but the organization that produces the festival will continue to hold virtual events like community readings, a teen theater production, and one-person plays. But they are certainly excited for what's to come.
Next year is going to be bigger and better than ever. So we'll say that we have a seat for you in 2022.
For Annenberg Media, I am Devarick Turner in Burlington, North Carolina.
In honor of Women's History Month, we are celebrating women who inspire us. Annenberg Media's Ella Katz shines light on her grandmother, who is her superhero.
I think that Nani or my grandmother would be the superhero woman in my life. When my grandfather Pop-Ups died unexpectedly almost 4 years ago, at that point everyone in my family thought she would fall apart. But Nani proved us wrong, showing our family true resilience. She now lives by herself in an assisted living facility in Chicago where the days are cold and dark. Yet she continues to remind me that even when the going gets tough, there are still things to be grateful for. She's completely isolated to avoid this deadly virus. But when it comes to the power of positive thinking, Nani's a super spreader. She calls me and checks in on me. And I sometimes just catch myself thinking, how are you so happy? It's so inspiring. When my parents were getting divorced, she would tell me and my sisters, it's gonna be okay. You guys are gonna get through this. Something as small as I love you, and then 2 seconds later, I love you too, just knowing that she's there. Not all superheroes wear capes, but sometimes I really just want to give her one.
Is there anyone that you're particularly excited to celebrate this Women's History Month?
Someone that really stands out to me as somebody that I love celebrating even every day is my mom. She just finished going through chemo and radiation this last year, so it's been an amazing journey for her, and I'm celebrating her every month, but especially this month. It's been just a really good month to remember my mom and remember all these women that have continued to support us. So is there anyone that you're celebrating this month?
Honestly, I love my mom as well. She is my biggest supporter and the person that I want to celebrate every day of my life because I wouldn't be here without her. Well, that's it for Annenberg TV News.
From everyone at Annenberg Media, have a great night.